Chapter 477 almost mastered. The leading Sol engineer was shocked. It was pertinent to note that each of the metal pillars weighed more than 5,000 kilos. Was that a weight that a human could lift? Even if they were hit by only the edge of this metal pillar, it would still be enough to crush them. Disperse. The 10 Sol engineers quickly dispersed, which prevented them from being killed. However, that person didn't seem to care whether he hit them. In his hands, the pillar seemed to be very light and free. Then, he forcefully smashed the pillar against a huge rack at his side. The rack was greatly damaged before it started to collapse. A huge drill that was attached to it slanted, and was about to fall off. The price of such a drill was around 1 million gold Sol coins. Is he really a human? This was the thought in all of the Sol engineers' heads right now. Even Ju Zi was stunned when she saw this. Can a human really be so strong? At this point, that person turned around. He grabbed the metal pillar tightly with both hands before he started to spin around. He looked like a giant spinning top, while the metal pillar was like the sharp point of this spinning top. It was extremely terrifying. This was definitely more terrifying than the blizzard earlier. The surrounding structures were all destroyed as this metal windstorm swept by. Ju Zi could no longer remain composed anymore. She shouted, "Large teams 1 and 2, enter the formation and attack with heavy cannons. Teams 3 and 4, prepare to maintain the linked defensive barrier." The Sol formation of the Phoenix Sol Engineer Legion was in the center of the base. This was the plan all along. All the large Sol tools were contained within this formation. There were even several Class 9 Sol tools there. From this brief encounter, she had already concluded that this extremely powerful man had to be at least a transcendent dueler. Fighting a transcendent dueler was not something 1 or 2 people could do. As she recalled the blizzard earlier, she realized that the enemy's strength couldn't be estimated at all. The only way they could deal with their attacks was to use their linked defense in tandem with their Sol formation. Without a doubt, it was right of her to do this. However, it was at this moment that the Fire Phoenix dueler was stunned. She peered into the sky and asked, "Legion Commander, take a look. What's that?" Ju Zi subconsciously lifted her head to take a look, and was stunned. A ball of icy blue light was becoming brighter and brighter in the sky. This ball of light seemed to have covered the entire sky, as if the moon had suddenly fallen from the heavens. It was crashing down on them. The aura of this ball of light was so overwhelming that they felt as if they were being completely suppressed just by looking at it. It's too scary. What is it? Quick, let's gather our full strength and attack the sky. Ju Zi gave out an order without any further hesitation. She also quickly went to retrieve Sol cannons and fired them towards the sky. At this moment, a loud boom caused Ju Zi's body to shake slightly. The entire linked defense formation started to waver. Many of the Sol engineers didn't even hear her orders clearly. Although 200 Sol engineers had left for the Sol formation, there were still 300 Sol engineers maintaining this linked defense formation, but it still shook tremendously. This showed how powerful the enemy's attack was. Ju Zi turned, and all she saw was a huge metal pillar being deflected away. She suddenly understood what was going on. The person who had unleashed the metal windstorm earlier had thrown the metal pillar towards them. The metal pillar was almost 50 meters long, and it was unleashed with great force because of the high-speed rotation earlier. No wonder the impact force was so terrifying. Even though they were protected, some of the Class 4 Sol engineers turned pale. Some of them were even hurt and spat out blood. This momentary delay allowed the huge icy blue ball to get closer and closer. It was as if a giant mountain were going to crash down on them. At this moment, the teams that were supposed to enter the Sol formation had yet to get into position. Attack! Quick, attack towards the sky. Don't bother with that person below. Ju Zi shouted. Her Sol cannon had already been fired. Although she didn't know what the huge light ball was, she could clearly sense that the entire Sol formation would be destroyed if it was allowed to crash down. At this moment, ordinary soldiers were completely useless. Even as the commander of the Phoenix Sol Engineer Legion, she also felt helpless. The Fire Phoenix dueler had remained close to Ju Zi, and she now lifted her hands. As a light flashed, she retrieved the golden red object from her storage-type Sol tool. It was a weird Sol tool in the shape of a phoenix. This Sol tool wasn't very large. However, it exuded scorching heat the moment it appeared. The golden red light that emanated from it also brightened their surroundings. This Fire Phoenix was very exquisite. Its eyes were like rubies, and looked very real. It felt as if it were a real phoenix. The Fire Phoenix dueler wore a serious expression on her face as she slowly lifted it up. Following this, her figure flashed, and she exited the linked defense formation. Intense fiery red light was released from her body as her Sol rings appeared. Her fiery wings were unleashed, and the fiery light started to gather towards the Sol tool in her hands. The Phoenix Sol Engineer Legion demonstrated its strength at this moment. The 300 Sol engineers in the sky quickly unleashed their attacks under Ju Zi's command. 300 beams of fiery red light shot out. They gathered in the air and charged straight towards the ball of light. Since they could link their defenses, they could naturally link their attacks too. This was why the Sun Moon Empire was so scary. Loud booms resonated through the air. The huge icy blue ball shook slightly, but started to shine even more brightly. It continued to crash down, although it was slightly slower now. The ladies from the Phoenix Sol Engineer Legion were shocked when they saw this scene. Their linked defensive Sol tools were known for being unstoppable. There were a few hundred of them. Even though they were just using Class 4 scorching rays, their combined attack was still very powerful. Of course, the low temperature of the ice plains of the extreme north slightly diminished the effect of these scorching rays. However, what exactly was that falling light? How was it able to resist the rays? It was completely unbelievable. Ju Zi was a little similar to Huo Yuao. In a crisis, she was able to maintain her composure. She knew that she had to stop the ball from falling. It had to be very strong if it could resist so many scorching rays. Once it crashed down, their Sol formation was bound to be destroyed. If she could hang on until their Sol formation took effect, they wouldn't need to fear anymore. A Sol Engineer Legion was most terrifying in the Sol formation that it created. However, giant snowballs started to be rapidly flung over from the perimeter of the base at this moment. Wherever they passed, all the mining machines were quickly destroyed. The burly man who flung the metal pillar earlier also looked into the sky and roared. His body started to balloon in size. In just a matter of seconds, Ju Zi watched him grow to a height of more than 120 meters. The Titan Snow Devil King had a reputation for having the strongest body in the continent, and he didn't earn it from nothing. Sol masters and Sol engineers weren't unfamiliar with Sol beasts. However, this was the first time the Sol engineers from the Phoenix Sol Engineer Legion had seen such a massive Sol beast. The Titan Snow Devil King roared into the sky and crouched down slightly before leaping up. His huge figure was like a cannon shell as he collided with the linked defensive barrier in the sky. At the same time, the giant snowballs were already hitting them from all directions now. Boom! The linked defensive barrier shook tremendously, and all the Sol engineers within it turned extremely pale. The Fire Phoenix dueler was also stunned for a moment. She was also slightly delayed from firing her Sol tool. The Fire Phoenix dueler could tell how strong the Titan Snow Devil King was the moment he revealed his true size. She wasn't a pure Sol master, but she had some understanding of Sol beasts. If he could transform into a human, he had to be a savage beast. He's definitely a Sol beast. This is not a martial Sol true body unleashed by a Sol master. A martial Sol true body is an energy body, but this is definitely his true form. There was one savage beast to their side, and there was a ball of terrifying light descending from above. Which one should they choose to resist? Sky. Ju Zi made the decision for the Fire Phoenix dueler. At this moment, she tried to calm herself as she faced the immense Titan Snow Devil King. The aerial threat directly threatened the Sol formation below. Although the Titan Snow Devil King was strong, the Sol formation could still resist him if it was deployed perfectly. As one of the strongest Sol Engineer legions of the Sun Moon Empire, Ju Zi was confident that they could deal with any problems that arose once they unleashed their full fighting strength. The Fire Phoenix dueler shouted and exerted strength with both hands as she pushed up. As a sonorous phoenix roar sounded, a Fire Phoenix was actually released from her hands. It flooded its phoenix wings and flew towards the plummeting ball of light. This was a powerful Class 9 Sol tool that the Fire Phoenix dueler had personally created. It was called Soaring Phoenix, and was a pure offensive Sol tool. It could reach a temperature of over 1,000 degrees Celsius, and possessed great explosive strength. It could only be used once before it became useless, but it was much more powerful than most ordinary Class 9 stationary Sol cannon shells. However, its shortcoming was that it couldn't reach as far as a stationary Sol cannon shell. However, it was very suitable for usage within a fixed region. The Titan Snow Devil King was slightly stunned when he saw the Fire Phoenix rising into the sky. Although it wasn't flying towards him, he could still sense the immense Sol power undulations it emitted. Can a human really unleash such an attack? That human isn't that strong either. Huo Yuao mentioned that humans are capable of inventing weapons. This must be one of them. It's indeed strong. Originally, the Titan Snow Devil King had looked down on humans. However, his opinion slowly changed when he realized that his previous 2 attacks couldn't topple the linked defensive barrier, and after he saw the rising Fire Phoenix. The huge ball in the sky was only 500 meters from the ground now. At this moment, the Soaring Phoenix blew apart and received its attack. Blue and fiery red formed 2 parallel lines in the air. These parallel lines expanded suddenly, and a region covering hundreds of square kilometers perimeters was instantly engulfed by these two colors. Ice and fire raged as they battled with each other. It was also at this moment that the Sol Engineers of the Phoenix Sol Engineer Legion finally ended their Sol formation and started to control their large defensive Sol tools. Between ice and fire was evidently being drained more quickly. After all, this was the ice plains of the extreme north. In this extremely cold part of the world, all fire type abilities were greatly diminished. This process was even continuous. It was at this moment that a ball of icy blue light suddenly drilled out from the fire and instantly crashed down, landing directly within the Phoenix Sol Engineer Legion Sol formation. When it hit the ground, the light dispersed, revealing a figure. Wasn't he Huro Yuao? When Huro Yuao landed, his body immediately turned illusory. The huge figure that had descended from the sky earlier was naturally the Ice Bear King. Huro Yuao had already guessed that the Phoenix Sol Engineer would have some way of tackling him, given their abilities. At the same time, he was also adapting to the situation. Everything, including the Titan Snow Devil King and the Titan Snow Devil's attacks, was under his control. A white halo immediately spread after he concealed his body with his imitation. At the same time, a golden whirlpool appeared above the Fire Phoenix Duolo's head. They were his third and fourth soul skills, mass enfeeblement and spiritual confusion. In terms of cultivation, Huro Yuao couldn't compare to the Fire Phoenix Duolo. However, his immense spiritual power could compare to a tidal Duolo. Under the effect of his spiritual soul core, he unleashed two soul skills. Suddenly, the Fire Phoenix Duolo was sent into a momentary trance. Within this soul formation, all the Sol Engineers felt as if their soul power had leaked out of their bodies. A strong sense of weakness quickly caused them to turn dizzy. After Huro Yuao's mass enfeeblement, a huge vertical eye appeared at the center of the soul formation, and the space within the soul formation immediately distorted. Clearly no sound was made, but every Sol Engineer felt as if deafening thunder had sounded in their ears. Huro Yuao unleashed his martial soul true body, the demonic eyes of the Asura, along with his spiritual blast. A few spiritual type soul skills were unleashed simultaneously. All the Sol Engineers from the Phoenix Sol Engineer Legion staggered after being hit by Huro Yuao's spiritual blast. Huro Yuao didn't unleash the full power of his spiritual blast because he wanted to maximize the area it covered. Otherwise, some of the Sol Engineers who were closest to him would have been blown apart from the blast. Huro Yuao stomped the ground with his right foot before the star Annis mysterious ice grass surfaced above his head. Following this, the ground shook, and countless ice spikes formed a dazzling icy flower with Huro Yuao's body at the center. It was the star Annis Omnithrust. Under the enhancement of the star Annis mysterious ice grass, the star Annis Omnithrust was unleashed with full force. The Sol Engineers all had automated protective barriers on their bodies. They were only flung away from the star Annis Omnithrust, but the Sol formation that was deployed wasn't protected by a defensive barrier. Or rather, without any Sol Engineers controlling it, there was no way the Sol formation could be protected. The Sol tools in this formation were rather tough. Even when hit by the star Annis Omnithrust, only small parts of them were damaged. However, they were all knocked over by the impact. Huro Yuao's series of attacks didn't cause too much harm to the Phoenix Sol Engineer Legion. However, it caused the Sol formation to be completely suppressed. When Juzi saw that huge vertical eye, she already knew who was here. Huro Yuao was simply too quick. After he unleashed his spiritual blast, he returned to his original form almost instantly. When he stomped with his right leg, he was just looking at her. After this, countless ice spikes were unleashed. Around the perimeter, several massive figures changed into their original forms after a series of collisions. The powerful Titan Snow Devils had already charged into the base with the help of the blizzard and Huro Yuao. Huro Yuao stood arrogantly in the center of the Sol formation. When Juzi finally gritted her teeth and gave the order to all the Sol Engineers to focus their attacks on Huro Yuao, another huge figure fell from the sky, shielding him. A giant ice wall absorbed all the attacks. At this moment, these Sol Engineers couldn't even think about attacking Huro Yuao without their soul tools. Huro Yuao remained where he was. On his forehead, his eye of destiny had already opened. Sunray patterns filled his forehead. Right now, he was at the center of the battlefield. Whether it was the Ice Bear King, the Titan Snow Devil King, or the Titan Snow Devils, they were all within range of his spiritual detection sharing. The entire battlefield had been completely engulfed by his spiritual detection. Every Titan Snow Devil was under his command, including the Titan Snow Devil King. The Titan Snow Devils didn't kill the ordinary soldiers. Instead, they were furiously destroying all the structures. All the facilities that the Sun Moon Empire had tirelessly built to mine rare metals were torn apart under the hands of these Titan Snow Devils. Metal pieces were flying everywhere. It took the Sol Engineers in the Sol formation some effort before they shook off the effects of Huro Yuao's mass enfeeblement, spiritual blast, and star Annis Omnithrust. By then, they discovered that they couldn't do anything at all. The Ice Bear King released a strong, chilly aura from his body as he stood within the Sol formation. All the Sol tools were quickly being frozen. Huro Yuao was already showing mercy. After all, the Sol Engineers in the Phoenix Sol Engineer Legion were female. If he had followed his attacks up with his ice explosion technique, those who were of lower cultivations would have been critically hurt. However, he didn't want to kill too many people, which stopped him from doing that. All the Sol tools were just frozen under the control of the Ice Bear King. The Sol Engineers could only quickly flee in all directions. They were all scattered from one another. Even if they could attack, how could they possibly threaten the Ice Bear King? Juzi turned slightly pale. When Huro Yuao led the Ice Bear King to occupy the Sol formation, she knew that she had already lost this battle. Without the Sol formation, she couldn't possibly threaten the Titan Snow Devils even if she could survive. These Titan Snow Devils were simply too scary. Class 4 and 5 Sol tools were ineffective against them. Their destructive abilities had even destroyed all the mining facilities in and around the base. These Titan Snow Devils had massive limbs and sharp claws. Even the tough metal seemed like paper in front of them. Right now, more than 100 Titan Snow Devils were gathering towards the center. The Titan Snow Devil King had even grabbed another thick metal pillar and smashed it against the linked defensive formation in the air. Juzi gritted her teeth and couldn't help but think, this fellow is heartless. I've been worrying over him for so long, but he's brought me such a huge surprise with his return. Huro Yuao naturally didn't know what Juzi was thinking about. Things had reached such a stage that the Phoenix Sol Engineer Legion was clearly unable to clean up the mess anymore. Huro Yuao flipped up and jumped onto the Ice Bear King's back. The Ice Bear King roared into the sky. Countless ice sticks danced in the air and shot straight towards the linked defensive formation. The Ice Bear King turned around quickly and charged away with Huro Yuao on his back. He's leaving. He's leaving just like that. Juzi was stunned. When she saw the frozen Sol formation on the ground, she heaved a sigh of relief. Although they had suffered heavy losses this time, they had still managed to preserve their Sol formation. This meant that she still had a chance of making a comeback. However, this thought only lasted for a second before she was brought back to the harsh realities of life. Tremendous booms started resonating through the air. Explosions sounded from the Sol formation one after another. The huge Sol tools were blown apart, and debris scattered in the air. Bits of metal flew everywhere, and the core formation blew apart, causing an even louder explosion. The entire Sol formation seemed as if it had been ignited as it kept on exploding. Ice explosion technique. The ferocious ice explosion technique caused everything below to turn into an ocean of ice. The charging Ice Bear King released icy blue halos from his body as he charged away. The ice elements in the air were instantly turned into another blizzard that swept over the entire place. Everything became unclear again. The blizzard caused heaven and earth to darken. Juzi didn't give the order to attack anymore. She gathered all her Sol Engineers and commanded them to maintain their linked defense. This time, the blizzard didn't last as long as before. By the time blizzard was about to end, the Titan Snow Devils, Ice Bear King and Huro Yuao had already completely vanished. The chilly winds in the extreme north continued to whiz, but the explosions had already ceased. Things turned peaceful once again. Due to the blizzard, the ground was already covered in white. Even at night, the silky white snow still refracted some light. At this moment, a deep voice sounded. This is your last warning. Humans, leave the extreme north. This is not a place you should be. If there's a next time, we won't be merciful. All life will be turned into ice and snow. This voice came with the winds and echoed throughout the camp. It was deafening. It sounded as if the heavens had raged. This was. Not all the Sol Engineers had seen the human figure that had appeared in their midst. After all, Huro Yuao had unleashed his imitation to conceal himself right from the start. At this moment, all the Sol Engineers turned pale when they heard this voice. This was only a warning. It was a warning from the ice plains of the extreme north. Every empire had a limited understanding of the world of soul beasts in the extreme north. This was because the soul beasts here were only helpful to ice-type soul masters. Almost no soul master would come here to get a soul ring. Under such a circumstance, their understanding of the ice plains of the extreme north was extremely limited. The giants that were more than 100 meters tall, and the terrifying giant bear that appeared earlier left deep impressions in the minds of these Sol Engineers. As the hand that protects the nation in the Sun Moon Empire, they were actually very confident in themselves. Their confidence even bordered on arrogance. This was their first time suffering such a heavy setback ever since they were established. Even though there weren't many casualties, they had still suffered massive losses. Almost all the aerial surveillance Sol tools were destroyed. The Sol formation below had also suffered the same fate. After tirelessly building these facilities for half a month, almost nothing was left. A large number of tents had been destroyed, and thousands of soldiers were left shivering in the cold. Was this how powerful the ice plains of the extreme north were? What kind of strength existed here? Did they incur the wrath of this place by trying to mine rare metals here? The Sol engineers weren't the only ones who heard the voice. The ordinary soldiers heard it too. Compared to the Sol engineers, the ordinary soldiers were more afraid of gods. Adding that to the fact that it was bitingly cold right now, the soldiers' morale was greatly affected. Juzi quietly drifted in midair. The others didn't know, but how could she not be aware? Even though she only got a glance before Huo Yue had concealed himself, she could already tell that what she saw was right. It was him. It had to be his abilities. Even though he was much stronger now compared to before, his martial soul true body was unique. It's him. He didn't just bring reinforcements from Shrek Academy, he brought many soul beasts from the ice plains of the extreme north too. No matter how intelligent Juzi was, she couldn't understand why the soul beasts would listen to Huo Yue. Furthermore, the battle earlier didn't seem to have been initiated by the soul beasts. It had to be a scheme, a ploy. Not many had died, but all the soul tools had been destroyed. Furthermore, they didn't manage to cause many problems for the enemy. This was clearly an ambush led by someone. At this moment, Juzi couldn't consider so many things anymore. She gritted her teeth and groaned furiously, then immediately gave out a series of orders. First, the soldiers whose tents had been destroyed needed to be helped. They would be temporarily moved to the tents that had been protected by the linked defensive formation. Even if it was overcrowded, they had no choice anymore. Furthermore, she instructed all the soul engineers to let out their tents to the soldiers who were injured. The Phoenix Soul Engineer Legion was well equipped. Every soul engineer had her own tent. Even though their individual tents weren't very large, they were still sufficient to accommodate a few people. In addition, tents made from mature cow leather were much warmer than ordinary tents. They were very appropriate for accommodating casualties. At the same time, the fire type abilities of the soul engineers also become the best way to help the soldiers keep warm. The entire base started to get busy. Even though morale was low, the soldiers became less affected by daylight because Juzi handled the situation very well. It was important to know that she had even let out her own tent for the injured soldiers. This act won the hearts of her soldiers and stopped their morale from falling even further. When things had finally been settled, the sky was already brightening. When Juzi saw all the damaged soul tools, she was on the verge of crying, even though she was normally very tough. Not only had they lost this battle, they had lost tragically too. Although there weren't many casualties, they had suffered major losses in terms of their machines. Huo Yue, you're too ruthless. Juzi gritted her teeth as she thought. However, her expression slowly turned gentler as she recalled what had happened in the fight. How could she not tell that Huo Yue was actually being merciful? Otherwise, those powerful soul beasts would have had many opportunities to launch a massacre. If that had happened, more than half of the ordinary soldiers would have been killed, and even the soul engineers within the soul formation would not have survived. When the soul formation was destroyed, Huo Yue and the terrifying soul beasts had a ripe opportunities to encircle and kill them. But Huo Yue didn't do so. He didn't let the powerful soul beasts do that. Instead, he engaged purely in destruction. After gaining the absolute advantage, he decided to retreat. Juzi knew that they had their linked soul tools as a guarantee, and could kill some of the giant soul beasts. However, what was the point of killing only one or two of them? Those giants were too terrifying. Their defensive strength was the strongest among all the soul beasts that she had ever seen. The price to pay to kill even one of them would have been very high. What if they drained all their soul power and couldn't maintain their linked defensive barrier anymore? They could only flee. But what would be the result of fleeing? It was leaving behind a 25,000-man army. The soul engineer legion might be able to flee, but the ordinary soldiers wouldn't be able to do so. When she thought until here, Juzi felt less aggrieved. Her nemesis was ultimately her own lack of knowledge. She had lost this round, and she had lost it badly. Humph. You better not land in my hands. Juzi thought to herself fiercely. Her face started to show a tinge of red. This was because she found out that even she felt helpless when she thought of this. Huo Yue led the Titan Snow Devils as they retreated. They returned to their temporary base 50 kilometers away. However, they hadn't won effortlessly like Juzi thought. There was a huge burn covering more than 10 square meters on the Ice Bear King's chest. He was pretty hurt. The Fire Phoenix, still soaring Phoenix, was very strong. It was much stronger than Huo Yue had expected. The Ice Bear King had used his Ice Bear Meteor, his strongest defensive soul skill. However, he was still hurt after colliding with the Soaring Phoenix after he was weakened by the linked defensive soul tools. The Titan Snow Devil King had already turned back into his human form and stood beside Huo Yue. The Ice Bear King did the same. However, he was seated instead. He grimaced as he circulated his soul power to treat his wound. The Titan Snow Devil King sighed and said, I didn't believe that humans could invent weapons to deal with us, but it seems like I was wrong. Humans are already so strong. He had been fighting the Ice Bear King for many years, thus he naturally knew how strong he was. The Ice Bear King's Ice Bear Meteor had caused him massive problems before. However, it didn't have much effect after clashing with the humans' attacks. The Titan Snow Devil King agreed with Huo Yue that they shouldn't massacre the humans. The ice plains of the extreme north were a promised land that wasn't suitable for humans to live in. There wasn't any need to kill humans. They just needed to chase them away. Huo Yue nodded gently and said, my plan wasn't perfect. That's why Little Bai was hurt. Little Bai, how are you feeling now? The Ice Bear King turned around and laid on the ground, allowing his burning wound to come into contact with the icy ground. He shook his head and replied, I'm fine. I can still hold on. Grandpa, I don't blame you. You warned me, but I was overconfident. I wouldn't be in this state if I had tried to avoid their attacks. Artai is actually right. Humans are scary. Although we had the absolute advantage earlier, we would still have needed to pay a huge price if we wanted to annihilate them completely. Huo Yue nodded and said, this was why I decided to just teach them a lesson after our sudden attack before retreating. I'm grateful for all your help. Fortunately, there weren't many casualties this time. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.